Hey nerds, Farmer Jesse here. Welcome to Growers Daily, your daily dose of ecological farming insight. It is Wednesday, September the 24th, 2025, and today we're talking about corn stalks with 5 years and what the heck that means, what resellers do and don't bring to local markets, and we will peer into October and see what the next month holds. So let's do it. That should be fun. I can't wait to peer into October. All right, happy Wednesday, everyone. I hope you all are doing well so far this week. You're midway through it, so that's good. This September is slowly coming to a close, which will mark the 1-year anniversary of this show, so that's also fun, but we will talk about all that next week. In fact, I will do a live show next Wednesday, and we can literally talk about it then and answer your growing questions, especially as they pertain to the winter and fall and cover crops and all those good things that we are all working on right now, at least here in the Northern Hemisphere. Yesterday, I did almost nothing on the farm because I went over to the Kentucky Mechanical Weed Control Field Day at UK, Go Cats, where they bust out a bunch of cultivation and soil preparation equipment and demo that stuff as best they can because it was a little bit wet yesterday. It's obviously a lot of larger scale sort of like tillage stuff there, and I did not get to stay for all of the demos, but there were some cool hand tools there. Plus, I did get to see some things I wanted to see in action, like the Sumi Soaker reels, and that was pretty neat. You know, they're just the irrigation system I've been kind of playing with this year. I'm definitely going to work more Sumi Soaker stuff into the farm next year because it has a lot of potential for our particular situation, and I'll talk more about what I've learned about this irrigation system soon, probably next week. Plus, I got to hang out with some friends yesterday, and I hadn't seen in a while there at that conference, and we talked equipment and soccer, as it should be. Fun stuff as always, and shouts to the Organic Association of Kentucky, the University of Kentucky, and everyone else for organizing and putting together that field day. That was very fun. Those ag organizations are really important, so make sure that you are a member of your local ag organization to help them keep going, because a lot of that funding dried up this year. So we need those. They're really important, and they really help us farmers get together and hang out and also learn a lot of new stuff. So I will be looking forward to another event coming up shortly. This one is called the Kentucky Composting Conference, which I will have Mike put a link in the show notes for you to find more info on that. All right, so every month I try to discuss what I'll be working on over the next few weeks here in Kentucky, Zone 6B, just so you can compare, but also so that I can remember. That's helpful. The next month is October, my birth month, and therefore the best month, but it is also an interesting month in terms of farming here because growth will slow down significantly if it hasn't already, but the weather is often some of the best of the year. Nice cool temperatures, nice cool nights, and there's a lot of time to get work done, but you're whooped from a hard season, so it's hard to want to get much done. For me, though, if I can dig deep and find some, energy and time and capacity to get some stuff done, having a productive October makes for a really productive April and May, and then I can just kind of chill a little bit more in November when it's a little colder. So first, obviously, I have to get the garlic popped and planted. That's the biggest item on the agenda for this next month, and I will, in fact, be starting on popping garlic next week, if not also planting that garlic just to get it off my plate. I can plant it as late October, but I generally like to plant it in the early part of the month just because I'd like it to be done. With the beds already ready for me, it's just about finding the time and the right window to do it. The next arguably and more pressing task on the list, depending on the weather, is getting the sweet potatoes out because of the early damage I've seen from critters, presumably because the drought called them in like a jerk. I am trying to wait as long as possible to harvest them, especially given the rain we just got. Hopefully that will help boost the yields a little bit, and some of those smaller sweet potatoes can size up a little bit more. Now, with sweet potatoes, I generally try to harvest them a bit early because I'm hungry and want to eat them, but also because I want them at a normal marketable size. But this year, I've just got to give them as much time as I can to, for insurance for a decent crop. Also, October is a winter cover crop time. It's time to get the winter cover crops popping that I don't want to winter kill, at least. That would be like rye, vetch, crimson clover, etc. I need all of that in and ready to roll pretty soon. October is also my last chance to get the tunnels flipped for anything I want to harvest by at least mid-winter. Preferably, I have it all in by the first week of October, but the later that you plant it, the later you will get it done. For lettuce, for instance, I think of it like planting the first week of October means it's ready like roughly the first week of December, but planting the second or third week of October means it's ready by the last week of December or even the first week of January. The difference can be that dramatic. Of course, that will depend on the weather, but that is usually what I go by, or at least what I use as motivation. Now, October also equals bed prep for future beds if need be. For instance, I'm turning one plot into blueberries, and that is going to take some reshaping and then some fertilizing to get it ready for the blueberry plants. That will be coming later this fall. I will journal that for you as I go. I kind of like this idea of journaling some crops and just showing you start to finish and how they go, how they function, how they perform, and all those good things. Then it's about cleaning up. October is at least cleaning up what I can without overdoing it, because I have the entire 120-day month of November to take care of most of that. Anyway, what does your October look like? Let us know, or even show us in one of your 20-second farm video clips that you can send to farmermike@notillgrowers.com. Otherwise, it's break time. When we come back, what to do when your corn goes bananas, almost literally. BRB.
Look who's back. Hey, Aphids, missed you. Hi, buddy.
Today's episode of Growers Daily is brought to you by Farmhand. Farmhand is the virtual assistant built for farmers, helping CSAs scale sales, run error-free fulfillment, and deliver 5-star service. Whether you're at 100 members or 1,000, Farmhand helps you grow without burning out. You've heard us and our farmers right here on Growers Daily. Explore farmer wins and learn more at farmhand.partners/no-till. That's farmhand.partners/no-till. All right, back to the show. If you, the listener, are enjoying this podcast, getting even a small amount of value from it, consider supporting our work over at patreon.com/no-till-growers. Does this show bring you $2 worth a month of value? $5? I will try to get to questions from everywhere the questions come in, but I will always get to your Patreon questions as a thank you. Now, today's Patreon question comes to us from Patreon member Yao King, who writes, quote, "Hi, Jesse, new supporter here." Hi, Yao. "I've been listening to your podcast daily and really appreciate the information you share. Thank you. I have 2 questions. My corn usually produces 2 ears per stalk. It's an heirloom long ear, small popcorn from my own seed. This year, my stalks have a lot more, 4 to 5 ears each, with some ears growing 2 sets of silks and leaves out of the husk too. Any idea what is happening? Second question is my mammoth gray striped sunflowers, also my own seed. They're the tallest they've ever been, with some reaching 12 to 14 feet, but the flower heads themselves are much smaller. Taller plants, but smaller heads. I am getting quote-unquote normal corn and sunflowers too, but that seems like the minority. I've been growing for 4+ years, and this season is noticeably different. Would love to hear your thoughts. Thanks, Jesse. P.S. They say a picture is worth 1,000 words, but I couldn't figure out how to upload a photo. If you did want to see it, I shared a video at my IG, Instagram, at White Rabbit Farmhouse, if that's helpful, end quote. Okay, so great questions, and thank you. And I will have Mike post a little bit of that clip from Instagram here as I talk, so those watching on YouTube can see it. But essentially, the corn stalk is indeed loaded with several ears leading up the stalk, and with a few with multiple silks coming out of the same ear, which is often referred to as MESS, M-E-S-S, or multiple ears, same shank syndrome. So it really should be M-E-S-S-S, but maybe it just gets a little messy. Anyway, now, there are a few things that can cause plants to do this. Genetics is one. You mentioned that these are heirlooms, so they just may be more predisposed to this sort of behavior. If you're selecting the seed in that case, I would probably not select from those plants. The reason being that most of those ears will not amount to much unless they do, in which case feel free to save away, I suppose. But the fertility could also be an explanation here. Could be good enough that the plant feels like it can produce more ears than normal. So perhaps there is an over-fertilization element here as well. It might be a situation where the spacing is really wide, the water delivery is really good, the fertility is really good. Add in the heirloom seed, and the plants feel like they can make it happen with more than 2 ears on the stalk. Sometimes with MESS syndrome, where a mini ear grows out of a main one, it can be caused by environmental stresses like wind or drought, or even damage to the ear as it's forming. So it could be separate from the number of ears you're getting off the stalk. Like these could be separate issues. It's not super uncommon to have one ear growing out of another. We have some MESS every season where a second, usually small ear comes out of the same node. And usually we get a decent ear off that, but it's never as big as the other ones. Now, on the sunflower side, fertility may be helping with the height there too, but so too may be the spacing. My guess here is that maybe they are spaced a little bit too tightly. When competition rises for certain crops, they spend their energy getting as tall as they can for the sunlight and then don't have as much energy to pour into their seed. So the result is just a smaller seed head. I talk about the critical period of competition, as it's called, in the Living Soil Handbook, and it's mostly has to do with plants versus plants of other species. But in this case, it may be the plants fighting each other for space. So my suggestion there would be maybe less space for the corn. We go about 6 to 8 inches apart, and more space for the sunflowers. We go about like 18 inches or for larger sunflowers, or even more if you want. Anyway, there may be other reasons I could not think of, and users can feel free to add their insights in the comments section as always. But I hope that was helpful. Let me know. Otherwise, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we will talk about the resellers and how to think about them. Or maybe not think about them. No, how to think about them. Be right back.
Farmer Claire Coleman here from the Winter Growers Podcast. Did you know that I also founded Real Farmer Care, a nonprofit that supports farmer well-being? From my own experiences farming, I knew firsthand that this type of support was missing from ag, so I decided to do something about it. As of today, there are over 500 farmer recipients of a $100 self-care award, with more applying daily. If you'd like to help, each $100 donated supports one new farmer. Visit realfarmercare.com to donate and learn more. Again, that's realfarmercare.com.
All right, so resellers. This is a term, albeit somewhat of a pejorative, that refers to people at the farmer's market who buy produce and resell it. This produce can come from Amish auctions or just general produce auctions, other farmers, from the grocery store or Sam's Club, etc. And these resellers are often how you end up with things like, I don't know, bananas in Michigan, or here in Kentucky, it's like tomatoes in April because they come up from, down south, from Georgia, Florida, etc. Now, this can be right out in the open, these resellers. Some farmers markets allow them, but require, resellers to explicitly state that they are in fact reselling. But sometimes it can be straight up fraud, people selling produce in markets that they did not grow, but are at very least implying that they grew it, or just not saying anything. Now, we sold for many years at a market where this reseller element was right out in the open, and the resellers all had to write on their labels where the produce came from, i.e. Georgia peaches or Florida tomatoes, etc. As far as I could tell, they followed these rules, and frankly, perhaps even controversially, I didn't really mind it, but with some caveats. First, most of the crops they brought were not crops I really bothered with growing, save for tomatoes, which I will come back to in a minute. Like the resellers are often focused on things like melons, watermelons, peaches, sweet corn, sometimes tomatoes, obviously, but mostly that like sort of lower profit, big stuff that we don't really grow, or at least don't depend on for a living. Again, besides the tomatoes, those are just like not crops that are highly profitable. So in the spring, what that would look like is that we would show up to a farmer's market in April with lettuces and kales and radishes and spinach and that sort of stuff, the leafy stuff. And they would show up with tomatoes. And it was the tomatoes they had from down south that brought in the customers who would then buy lettuce from us for BLTs or salads or whatever. So for us, those resellers were often helping us to boost our sales because rarely, if ever, were they also selling lettuces. Moreover, because we were organic, people liked that they could get organic certified local lettuce, even if the tomatoes were conventional that they were buying from the resellers. It was like, you could kind of get everything you needed in one place, more or less. The one major downside was that in the middle of the summer, it was basically worthless to try and sell tomatoes because not only did everyone have them, but customers had already been accustomed to them for months. So the first heirloom tomatoes were just nothing exciting to our customer base. It also kept the price that we could ask for those tomatoes fairly low. So we just kind of adapted, I guess. Our approach was to not really bother so much with those things and instead focus on cherry tomatoes, which no one else really bothered with themselves. So that gave us a little bit of a niche. In fact, that was a lot of what we sold, stuff that the resellers didn't have. And for us, there was a nice symbiosis there, but I also recognize it is definitely not that way for everyone. Some growers will be trying to sell things that the resellers are selling and cannot compete on the price, or can compete on the price, but not on the profitability. For many of the resellers, they are retired and don't really need to or care that much about the income that they're making. So that's hard on the growers who do depend on that and who do all that hard work. Also, sometimes, like I said, there is just straight up fraud where resellers are trying to pass off produce as their own, which is not okay on any level. For me, I think that the fraud is really on the farmers market to police, fair or not, because they are already overworked. But the policies should be set in place to limit that and identify it and punish it adequately. The Lexington farmers market where we sold here, they've always done a really good job of that, I think. We never saw any major issues with people, lying, and it was never really in conflict with what we were doing. I will also kind of twist this conversation a little bit. I don't know if that's the right word, but if reselling is allowed, reselling can be a great way to add unique items to your own booth. I have friends who, for instance, buy avocados from other friends out in California and sell those in the East at their own farm store. The idea being, if my customers are going to be buying avocados anyway, they may as well be buying them from good farmers who we know and trust and then paying us to source them. Like, I don't think everyone needs to be a reseller, and we never did that except a few times when we bought items for our CSA, but I do think there's an opportunity there if it's allowed at your market. Anyway, what say you all? Thoughts? Like it? Hate it? Let me know. Otherwise, I think that's going to be it for this Wednesday. But before we go, we're going to get a quick word from our friends at Rimmel Greenhouse Systems. Whether you're growing tomatoes for market, flowers in the spring, or vegetables for your family, growing in a high tunnel protected from the weather provides the right environment for a harvest you can count on. Rimmel greenhouses are strong, durable, and easy to assemble, offering the quality you need to grow productively year-round. The team of experts at Rimmel Greenhouse Systems will be your trusted partners to ensure you get exceptional value from your greenhouse or high tunnel investment. Visit Rimmel.com today to get growing. Don't forget, No Till Growers is now officially a nonprofit 501c3, so donations are tax deductible and greatly appreciated. You can learn more about how to do that in the show notes. Let's say maybe you're looking for a little end-of-the-year tax break. That could be a good opportunity to keep this information flowing and free and open to anyone and everyone in the world. Also, please make sure to like and subscribe and or follow wherever you're getting this podcast. That's an easy way to help us out. Enormous thank you to all of our show sponsors. And if you'd ever like to sponsor the show, you can reach out to Farmer Michelle at no-tillgrowers.com. Huge shouts to Willie Breeding for the theme music and Mike Hilbert for the production help and editing. Also, we have like one more week if you want to get your theme song in. We're going to do them all through September. So shoot those over to farmermike at no-tillgrowers.com. Just cover the theme song however you want. We've had some good ones this month. So shouts to you all. Also, shouts to Epidemic Sound for the background music that you can hear. Pick up a hat like this one or our Boggins or one of the other ones that Mike's putting on the screen right now, or a copy of my book, The Living Soil Handbook, at no-tillgrowers.com to support our work. All the proceeds from that just go to doing more of this stuff. Big thank you to everyone over at patreon.com/no-tillgrowers, where at a certain level, or if you just bump up from one level to another, or you sign up in the month of September, you get a shout out on the show. So big shout outs today to Philip. Shouts to Philip. Shouts to all the Phillips. All right, so you will remember from our story yesterday, our farmer, Susie, and our boar, Terrifying, are both stuck in the barn, kind of, Susie is injured and barely able to even drag herself to the door, even if she could get there without getting right up against the boar. The boar is stuck, like I said, in the way, wrapped in some woven wire fencing, and it's just an impasse. And it's important to note, and for the narrative, that Susie lives alone. No one is coming. No one's expecting her back for dinner or anything. So after about an hour of thrashing around, the pig finally, rests. Susie can feel her, muscles relax, and the two sort of stare at each other. I don't know if you've ever, looked a boar in the eyes, but it feels weirdly human. And in that moment, Susie feels both fear and kinship. She has no idea what the boar is thinking, and the boar has no idea what Susie is thinking, but it's getting late. They're both tired. Susie is in an immense amount of pain. Yelling for help has done nothing because, like I said, she lives alone. There's no one around. And she eventually falls asleep. What happens next is for tomorrow on Wild Boredom. Just kidding. The title it's way better than that. You'd love it. Anyway, thanks for watching and or listening. We will see you tomorrow. Bye.